Okay, so now here I've downloaded that Vmware tools. I kept that ISO. I will try to install Vmware tools. So here I mounted that in the DVD, that CD. That's the reason we are getting this option. And I'm trying to install that VMware tools. Sorry. I'm going with the typical options.
అర్థం కాలే అయినా తెచ్చుకోపో వాటర్ తెచ్చుకోపో
Okay. So now the display drivers, uh, like networking, all those are getting like optimized. So now here I'm going to finish, and it's mandatory to reflect that a restart also is required. I'm going to restart this. Then I'm going to install on this mission Active Directory. I'm going to install.
అమ్మకి ఇచ్చుకో నాకు తెలియదు ఇంకా చేదుకుంది చేదుకుంది అంట
I'm going to install Active
చేదుకుందంట
Directory.
లే.
Okay, so this is the Windows Server with the VMware tools has been installed. And one thing what we can do is we can take a snapshot here also. We can take a snapshot also here. Then what I'm doing is I'm going to configure the VMware tools. I'm going to configure here. Okay, so before that, better to give that one like a name, we need to give the name. Okay, before installing this AD. Okay, so what is the Active Directory is it's a Windows directory service where we need to get that all the centralized database of users, devices, like computers, resources, all those in our enterprise level. It's going to store a centralized database. It's a directory service of all our like enterprise level, like users, groups, devices, resources, all those we are getting. Mostly we are doing like AD level, we are doing the authentications and the authorizations, and we are enforcing the group policies, what how the administration can be performed. Okay, and even we can manage at the domain level. Say suppose wipro.com, cts.com, like this will have the domains, like that domains we are going to maintain. And every employee user is going to get a email password, and with that domain user is going to log in. Then here LDAP, LDAP is the general protocol. In that Microsoft LDAP solution is Active Directory. LDAP is an open protocol, and Kerberos is the authentication protocol used by AD. LDAP is to manage the directory services, all that. There are other LDAP solutions also, but from the Microsoft, that LDAP solution is AD. Okay, say AD uh, AD is the protocol kind of thing. Okay, so then like directory service is Active Directory, and that protocol used, and for the authentication that protocol is used is Kerberos is the protocol we are going to use. Say Kerberos is the protocol we are going to use it. Okay, so these all we are going to install Active Directory on this mission, which is the directory service. Okay, so then LDAP is the protocol, and in order to install AD, we are installing a domain controller or directory service. Say to install, we required Windows Server 2016, 2019, and even that later also. And minimum we required 2 GB RAM and 32 GB disk. Then very important is we required a static IP address. Static IP address. Okay, so that's we need to maintain like static IP we need to provide. Okay, so that is also one of the prerequisite. Okay, so these all we need to take care. Okay, so then networking, like mostly DNS networking. By default, what we are going to do is DNS server on the first server itself. We are going to keep On the same mission itself, we are keeping both AD and DNS. In the real time, DHCP may be in separate environment, but in our lab, what we are doing is both AD, DNS, DHCP, all those we are keeping on the same environment. We are going to keep okay, on the same environment we are going to keep this. Okay, so that's we are going to take care. DNS role also is getting, and even time zone synchronization, because for the Kerberos authentication time also is required, and we require the local administrator kind of things. So now here I'm going to set up that network like static IP I'm keeping. Okay, after that, Active Directory, directory service role, I'm trying to install. So these lab steps like I'll do. Say this is the Windows server. I think we need to give the proper name for this. Okay, I'll set up the proper name. So now here I'm going to like change that computer name. I'm going to change. I kept cloud domain controller 01. As of now, it's still in the work group itself, and definitely it required a restart. After that, I'll set up like one static IP. Okay, so then we kept the one good naming convention as per our company. Then I'm going to configure the static IP. So now, like uh, so in order to change that system name, I use the shortcut sysdm dot cpl, and here to open this network connections, all this ncpa dot cpl I have used systemdm dot cpl. Okay, so now here I'm trying to set up one static IP I'm keeping. Okay, I'm going to use a static IP address I'm keeping, and I'm going to use 10.10 dot series. Even 192 series also we can use. Okay, say want 192 series, you want, you can use the 192 series, or if you want to keep the static IP. Okay, so now here as they suggested, like here we are setting a static IP address. Okay, so then if want I can use 192 series also, I'll use, and it should be private range itself. For the C class, 192 series is the private range. I'm keeping 192 one, and as it belongs to class C of the IP address, we are getting 255, 255, 255 dot 0 I'm getting, and I want to make as of now this itself is my default gateway also, and DNS server also I want to keep in the same server itself. Local also I'm keeping, as the same DNS server. Once I kept the static IP, because for the remaining all the servers, like maybe DHCP will provide that IP address, but in this use case, we are using like a static IP. After that, I'll go to server manager. Okay, so from the server manager, I'm going to add those roles, add roles and features. So now, like what is the meaning of Windows Server is, Windows Server have the capability to do multiple things. In our scenario, we are going to use like this Windows Server as a domain controller or like a directory service kind of role, DNS role, DHCP role we are installing. But a Windows server by default have the capability to do the multiple things. So by default we have the capability to do the multiple things. Okay, so what are the things a Windows server roles we can attach? We'll discuss. Okay, so now here role-based features I'm installing. Okay, so on the local server itself, Cloud DC01 is our server. Now a Windows server can do like a Active Directory related, device health attestation, DHCP service, DNS, fax, file storage, host guardian, Hyper-V, multi-point service, network controller. So these all the different roles. Even if I install web server IAS it can do, deployment service it can do, okay, so update service it can do, okay, print and documentation service. Even if you want to make it as the remote desktop services, RDS server, a Windows server can do multiple things, but all we are not going to install. What we require for us, that's we are going to install. Now I want to make this as the domain controller. Then in order to make it domain controller, I'm making the role as Active Directory domain services role I'm going to install. Okay, that corresponding, say, other than roles, will have lot of features also, and those features also is getting installed. And on the first domain controller, automatically will get DNS also. Later we'll configure DHCP. And in the same server, like domain controller and RDS server, we can't make on the same server. That means on the directory service, like where we have installed, on that we can't install RDS kind of service. Okay. So then I'm going to restart that if any destination is required also. So now what is the role we are installing? Active Directory domain services. So I'm going to install this role on this Windows server. Now, if I install this role, Active Directory domain service role, my Windows server will become domain controller. It is going to become. It is going to become the domain controller. Okay. So once we install this, automatically it won't become. Even we need to promote into like a domain controller, we need to promote it. So previously we have the command DC promo, like domain controller promotion kind of thing. But now, like in the server manager itself, they have given to promote that. So on the domain controller, we can't install RDS And even citrix controller, all those also on the domain controller is not possible to install. Okay, so now the configuration is like required. So once we install this, we'll configure that. So I'll go to this ADDS. So now here this configuration is required. So previously this we used to get it from the like DC promo command, but here we have this action promote this server to domain controller. So now here we need to configure our settings, how we need that domain controller and like forest settings, all those we need to manage. So now add a domain controller to the existing domain, add a new domain to the existing forest, and add a new forest. Okay, so now we need to configure this these settings. Okay, so now these all the different options we have. For the first time, like we need to choose as the forest because we don't have any steps also, any domains we don't have to join. Okay, so then here we need to choose as the forest, like a group of domains and their domain trees, all those is called as forest. Once we install the AD like a directory service role, okay, so we need to choose that uh, AD a D, like directory service configuration wizard, and to promote this server to the domain controller. Say in this we need to choose add a we need to add a new forest. For the first time we need to enter our domain name here. We need to enter our primary domain name. I'm going to keep this as cloudsoft.com or cloudsoftsolve.com. I'm going to keep. Okay, so then we don't have any domain to join here. I'm adding as a new forest that my root domain is. I want to keep this because if already a domain controller is there, I'm adding an additional domain controller, then I need to use the first option. Okay, already forest is there. I want to create another domain, then I need to use the second option. But first, I'm creating a new forest itself, and that primary domain is cloudsoft.com. And here we have these options like forest functional level and domain functional level, which of the minimum OS versions is required. That means if any another domain controller is want to add at the forest level or domain level, minimum we want to maintain Windows Server 2016 we are maintaining as the first mission. Okay, then we are integrating one of the best practices on the first AD mission itself. Keep the integrated DNS server, and by default the first domain controller will become the global catalog also. So what is that global catalog also we'll discuss. Okay, so now we need to set the password also for the directory service restore mode. Okay, for the recovery also, we need to set one password, we need to set that. Okay, and the first controller can't become a read-only domain controller. Whenever you are adding a additional domain controller on this domain, you can choose that as a read-only domain controller. Okay, so now here I'm going to set up one recovery password also I'm setting. So while setting this standard passwords, try to set up. Then I'm choosing next. Okay, so now here Here we need to choose as of now, no DNS delegation is required. Okay, so we no need to choose anything. Next, like we need to choose a net like a bias name. Okay, mostly here our domain itself we are getting like a net bias name automatically. Our it's going to be auto generated from our domain name itself that's getting generated. Okay, then here we are going to get the paths, what we need to configure the path for the database folder. Okay, so now what is the database? Active Directory is nothing but the database kind of thing itself. Then in the C drive, Windows, NTDS, the database name is ntds.dit. What is the meaning of ntds.dit is New Technology Directory Service. DIT is Directory Information Tree. Directory Information Tree. In that C drive, Windows NTDS Directory. Okay, NTDS stands for New Technology Directory Service. Normally, even in the file system, also Windows nowadays having NTFS, but this is NTDS kind of directory structure. In that NTDS dot DIT is the database name. Okay, ntds.dat and log files and all the shared kind of things are going to be group policies, all are going to store in the sysvol. Better to go with the default options itself. Okay, then we need to review all this. Okay, so you want to these settings, we can get this as the PowerShell commandlet also. Later on the remaining missions also we can reuse those. Try to get that PowerShell commandlets also. Now it's going to check that whether those prerequisites have been met or not. Okay, so all these prerequisites have been passed. Some warnings, but ignore those warnings as of now. So then let's install. Now here that's first is finishing DNS, then group policy management console, all that are getting installed. And now, like here, it's mandatory. We need to restart. Okay, after restart, we don't log in as a local admin user. We log in as a domain user itself. So it's going to be restarting. So after this, we need to set up DHCP also. Yeah. So now here I need to log in. So now here, we are not logging as a local user. CloudSoft Sol is our domain name. Then as the domain administrator, I'm going to log in. And with the password also. What is the password I set? Now I have logged in this as the domain admin. I have logged in, and that user we need to give the local admin permissions also we need to give. Okay, so these all the options we have set up. Okay, then I'm going to configure even the DHCP role also. I need to set up on this. So I need to set up the DHCP role also. I need to set up. So now here I'm going to add roles and features because I want to, because for the other missions like for VDA servers, VDA controllers or VDA desktops, workspace apps from where we need to receive, for all that we require the IP addresses, and who need to assign that IP is our AD need to assign that IP address. So that is the reason here in this server manager itself. So already like a DNS has been installed with the AD itself. I'm going to install now DHCP service. So I want to install DHCP server also on the same server. All the prerequisites, all those I'm choosing. If required, dictionary restart also will do. After that, we need to specify the DHCP options also we need to configure. Okay, so now here DHCP has been installed. Now we need to set up like a DHCP options also. We need to specify those DHCP options also. We need to specify. So now here we need to configure those configuration details. So I'm going to complete that DHCP configuration details. So first we have installed the DHCP role. I'm going to authorate you this DHCP server with the Active Directory to authenticate. Okay, so now we need to create the scope, all these options also, and authorization I'm giving to CloudSoft slash administrator itself. I'm going to give. Now here from the tools, I have opened this DHCP. So now here I'm going to create the scope, all this. I need to we need to provide the address leases, all these we need to provide. Okay, in the IPv4, I'm going to give the scope of which of the IPs I want to give. That scope I need to provide. So now here our IP addresses are in 192 series. Already I have used the 10 from the 11 I want to assign. 192 1.11. Sorry, this is not the.
That is a DHCP server details, right?
No, no. Just the name of the scope.
Okay.
Okay. So here we need to give that. So 254 I'm giving, and all are in the subnet mask like class C itself. So now, if you want to exclude any of those IPs, say suppose I want to exclude some IPs from assigning from DHCP 100 to 110, I want to exclude. Okay, and how many days that lease duration is for the wide connection? Okay, it is 8 days. After that, is going to be renewal. And if you want to set up these DHCP options also like 66, 67, and default router also I want to set up as of now the same one. This is I want to assign the IP addresses. So means these all default options we can go. So now we set up even that DHCP options also we have configured. And from the second mission onwards, okay, so here in the we are doing this in the VMware environment, right? And what is the like a network driver we have configured? What is the network driver type we have configured? Bridge or NAT?
Bridge.
No, no. We are keeping in the NAT we are keeping. In the NAT, for the second mission, say suppose I have added one Windows server. Okay, say now we have like one Windows server VM we have. In this, what we kept is AD, DNS, DHCP we kept. On the second Windows server, okay, what I want to make it is like here also I want to install Windows Server itself, join to CloudSoft all domain. Okay, don't install domain controller on the second mission. Okay, we need to join that into domain, and here who need to assign that IP address to that second VM is who need to assign the IP
It
address to the
automatically.
second VM. Yeah, our like a DHCP server need to assign that IP. But here in the VMware workstation, if you keep a bridge, sorry, if you keep a NAT, one problem we have is by default, okay, there is one VMware DHCP server is there. That VMware DHCP server is allocating the IP addresses. Okay, so in order to stop this, okay, so this is my physical laptop, not on the VMware. Okay, you go to services. Okay, you go to the services. In the services, we have one service which is related to VMware DHCP service. Okay, so here we have the VMware DHCP service is there. Okay, so this VMware DHCP service in the NAT or host VMs, this VMware DHCP service is going to allocate automatically those IPs. But in our environment, we don't want because we already kept our own DHCP service. That is the reason what you need to do is once you install the VMware workstation, go to this service, stop and even disable that service. It's not only stop, even disable this service. So why we are doing this? If you don't disable this one, even the second VM, if you keep in the NAT, what is going to happen is, if you keep that one in the NAT also, what is going to happen? Like your VMware DHCP server will assign their IPs, but we don't want that setting. I hope you got it right. Okay, so here we set up that domain controller we have set up. then what is the meaning of global catalog is, say, like a Active Directory is a like a mm, distributed kind of database. We can have multiple domains in the forest, and they have their own databases kind of thing. But like what is the global catalog will store is other domains also will have in the forest, their domain details also, partial details of that also is going to store in the global catalog. Okay, from the first mission, like the first domain controller in the forest is mandatory. It should become the global catalog, and even other like domain controllers or other domains we have in the forest also. That replica is going to be stored in the global catalog. Say instead of going for other domains data also, if the user's authenticating all that, instead of searching from there, okay, no need to contact each and every domain controller. Global catalog will contain those details. Okay, global catalog will contain those details. Not all the attributes of the, not the complete replica of the details are stored. Okay, so only like which of the information most commonly used with that domain users, all those details are stored. Okay, so then like domain controllers can be like become the global catalogs. Even we can have a multiple global catalogs also, but mandatory is the first domain controller automatically will become global catalog server also. Means we have installed the first domain itself in our forest, and that already becomes global catalog. Okay, that's already become the global catalog also. Okay, so that's a forest-wide, all the details are stored not only at the domain level. And here we have installed AD and DNS also we kept on the same server. That is also one of the best practice. Okay, so then like even dependencies, all those can be resolved very fastly, and even like authentication logins will happen, like network traffic can be reduced, fault tolerance, replications will happen. That's the reason with all these best practices, Microsoft always recommends DNS, okay, so on the domain controller. In the large scale, maybe DNS roles maybe we kept separate, but DHCP also it can be a like a another server. But in our environment, we are keeping DHCP also on the same server we are keeping. What is the meaning of DHCP? Say DHCP is a dynamic host configuration protocol. Manually allocating the IPs to the thousands of VDAs, all those are not possible even in the Citrix environment. DHCP server will automatically assign those IP addresses. Okay, so then like manually assigning is almost impossible kind of thing. And here we have a four-step process called as DORA process. So now here we have the discover, offer, request, and acknowledge. So using this DORA process, every device is getting, even if you connect to the Wi-Fi also, your Wi-Fi also act as a router and is going to assign one IP address. Okay, so that's first the client device is going to be discovered by sending a broadcast message like to all the routers and DHCP servers. Then DHCP server will respond to that broadcast message and offers what are the available list of IPs are available. And from those IPs available, that client will request for one IP address. Then like a DHCP server will acknowledge. Sometimes if that is not available, not reserved, then it's not going to acknowledge also. Then that lease time is 8 hours. Okay, so mostly that 8 hours, sorry, 8 days we are going to get for the wide connections. For the wireless connections, it would be 8 hours. And what is the meaning of scope is from that range itself, we are going to give that scope. And we can exclusion also we can do, and even we can add a reservation also, like I want to reserve those IPs. Maybe we have the servers like I don't want to change those IPs after the lease time also, then I can add a reservation also. Based on the MAC ID, I can reserve. Then DHCP don't send those IPs to any of the device. Okay. So then in the NAT kind of environment driver and host only. Okay. So we have like a VMware DHCP service. Okay, so what is that VMware DHCP services? It's a local VMware DHCP service running in the like for NAT VMs and host VMs. That DHCP service is assigning, but in our environment we are going to disable that one. Okay, and the RDS these also will discuss. As of now, this is required. Like on the second mission, what we need to do is we need to join to that domain need to be joined. Okay, so once it is joined to the domain, VMware tools also is mandatory. Then not on the first mission, on the second mission, what we need to do is we need to keep that Citrix ISO we need to keep. So we need to keep that Citrix ISO we need to keep. So here we have, as of now, I have chosen 1912. Later we'll go for the higher version, but not on the, like on the domain controller, we shouldn't install. Where we need to install is on the second server, once we join to the domain, login as the domain user. On top of that, we need to install. So here I kept the Citrix ISO. And Active Directory machine is not going to install. Choose anything, either virtual apps and desktops. Choose the virtual apps and desktops. So here choose this start installation. Then here we need to choose here normally this delivery controller we need to install. But here we got one error, right? The delivery controller cannot be installed on domain controller. VDA also is can't be installed on this. Okay, but here we need to choose this delivery controller. Then once we install automatically director, license server, storefront, studio, universal printer server, federated like authentication service, password, session recording, depends upon your Citrix license edition. We are going to these missions. Then on the another server, we need to install VDA for like Windows single session OS or multi-session OS. We can install. Okay, so these installations we need to do on the second VM. We need to install. First to try to set up this AD, DNS, and DHCP. Try to set up. Okay, and even for Windows VD and multi-session OS, definitely we required RDS also is prerequisite. But for controller, RDS is not mandatory. But RDS is mandatory for like VD and multi-session OS. And LDAP, what is the port number used by LDAP is 389 is the port number. And if it is LDAP security, 636, and Kerberos is going to use 88 port number. And global catalogs are communicating with 3268, 3269. And Samba protocol is for the file sharing for all those Samba protocol we are using 445. 445 is that, and DNS is going to use 53. What is the DNS port number? 53. And the DHCP is going to use 67, 68. 67, 68 is DHCP port numbers. And RDP port we already discussed, 3389. And SMTP is 25. SMB is 445. Then SQL Server default port is 1433. SQL Server default port is 1433. And IAS level we have 8443. NTP is time synchronization. We are using 123. SMB already we discussed 445. These are all the important port numbers people will ask in the interview also. And even in the Kerberos authentication protocol, can you guess in the citrix enumeration process where it will get? Whenever the user log into the storefront is communicating with the Active Directory using the Kerberos 88 protocol itself is going to use. Okay, so using this itself is going to be communicating. The port number is 88. Okay. So the second mission, what you need to do is try to join to the domain, log in as a domain user itself, then mount that Citrix ISO. Need to install this. Okay. They, within 1 hour, I'll send that ISOs also. So try to download those ISOs.
Uh, how you are going to send that, Shrikant? Like,
I'll send the link. I'll send the link.
okay, all the
Yes.
VMware and yeah,
VMware workstation, that VMware tools, Citrix ISO.
okay. And one more thing, yesterday and day before
Yeah,
yesterday's
I'll today upload. Today I'll upload this.
okay, okay, Shrikant,
Okay,
please.
sure,
Yeah,
sure.
Shrikant, you can
Thanks,
put
thanks.
this today's notes as well.
Yeah, this material, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I'll send it.
The Citrix ISO can we directly download
No,
because we
no,
don't
it's
have
not
login?
not all. Yeah, if you have login account, you can try to download.
No, I don't have login actually.
Yeah, that's I'll share that ISO.
Thank you.
Okay, sure.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.